Welcome to T Boys TV. We're back again with another hat show. Obviously, it's been a few days since I've uploaded myself. Obviously, since we've done a hat show, obviously international break and things like that. So we're back again. New era, as Stephen has just said in the chat, and as it says in the thumbnail, for Jack Wilshere. Now, obviously, I did do the video the other day on it on Monday when it was announced. I did obviously do a little bit of a delayed reaction because I was hoping that more staff was going to be announced on top of obviously Chris Powell as well. But obviously, as we still speak now, there's nothing else that's come out of that. So yeah, we'll obviously see more of that as obviously the weeks go on, and maybe even tomorrow. I might see a little glimpse tomorrow of what's to come there. But obviously, I did do a video, I did do my thoughts on it. But obviously, Dad, you have not been seen since then. What are your thoughts on Jack Wilshere becoming the manager? And before you tell us, obviously, when we did, we was rumoured, we were surprised like everyone. But the more you've seen stuff, and heard stuff from him and, the backroom staff he's brought in and Chris Powell, there's a lot of positives thus far, isn't there?
Yeah, first of all, I've had a bit of a cold this week, which is just easing, I believe. So if I look and sound rough, just bear with me. But yeah, obviously, the whole process has been very interesting because he was immediately a front runner, and then dropped down, and then went back up and things like that. And obviously, a lot of fans were calling for an experienced head to take the reins, and I get that. And I was not anti Wilshere, not as a guy or anything like that. Just because I didn't really look at him, what he'd done at Arsenal and things like that, when he was at Norwich and how he is as a person, etc., etc. But do you know what? Fair play to Gary Sweet for sticking to his philosophy and his guns. It is a big risk. A lot of people, there's been certain pundits, Tim Sherwood, saying that, they don't know what they're doing, etc. And we know exactly what we're doing. He stuck to his guns, and the thing is, the more I listen to Wilshere, the more I like him, and the more I believe that he's definitely going to be a top coach, a top manager at some point. Obviously, it's very early days. You've got to give him credit. A lot of other managers, Gerrard, Lampard, and that, they started off in high leagues, or things like that. I know Rooney was he in League One with Plymouth?
No, I think he was in Champions. I think it's Derby.
Yeah.
In League One, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, so not a lot of some ex-footballers, managers, they won't do that. Listen, he's got experience as a coach and has done. He's got his licenses, and like I say, I've just listened to him. The more I listened to the press conference earlier, I've listened to a couple of interviews with him, which are available on YouTube. One with Simon Jordan, and everyone knows that Simon Jordan goes in when he's talking to people. He gets into delicacies and stuff like that. Came across really, really well. And he just does. He's got the same sort of tone as Bloomfield, voice-wise. That's it. Do you know what I mean? And I think with Bloomfield, and fair play for Gary to come out and say that we shouldn't be too hard on Bloomfield and this, that, and the other, and he's right, because he made the appointment. And I just think, what I personally think is the players just didn't respect him enough, didn't think he had enough credentials, maybe his backroom staff and things like that. So I think there's a little bit of that. But I'll say, listening to Wilshere's conference and his chats before, he's worked with young players. He's worked with players that are going to go on and play in the Premier League or going to go on and play down below. Do you know what I mean? And he understands that as well. He hasn't got a big ego, and in his press conference he said that some of the players, he kind of openly said that some of them obviously don't want to play in League One. They believe they're too young. We know that anyway. But he's like, well, you're here. which was exactly what Bloomfield would have said. Any other manager would have said, maybe in a different way. Certain manager, I think if we'd have got Wellings in, a lot of people were calling for that. He calls players out. I've seen a lot of his interviews, and I don't know if that would have created a more toxic. Because if the issue is certain players not respecting Bloomfield, they're not going to respect Wellings. They're not going to respect their mother. But Wilshere and Chris Powell as well, fundamentally, MBE, worked with England, got really good bit seen in the game. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's well known. He's a top figure. And Wilshere obviously, brings that, that sort of element to us as well. And like I say, listen to him more. He knows, he was talking about things that obviously I'm, a few years older than him, but he was talking about things that, watching Matthew Spring at Luton, going to the Arndale Centre. He's born in Stevenage, brought up in Hitchin. The closest town to him, biggest club to him, was Luton. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you can see that, and you can feel that, and you can hear that in the way he talks. So actually, it does feel like a big shift, a certain change. Not papering over the cracks with an appointment. It's bold. It's what we do. Let's see what happens. Let's hope that the good times will start rolling. I think they will. And that's what I think. We're not, obviously their aim is for promotion, but if we finish just outside and we start playing and looking at the unit and just miss out, I'll be happy with that, considering. Do you know what I mean? Because the following season we should be going for it. But obviously, if we could turn them around, because we've always known we've got a good squad, and they need to respect, and them two characters will definitely gain respect. And the fact that he's won the FA Youth Cup with Shea, that for me that adds a lot as well, because Shea is a good guy, isn't like next Mr. Luton as well in that category. If they all buy into that, he knows him. He knows he's a good guy. He'll have his back as well. So yeah, I think actually the more you look into it and delve into it, and I like I say, watch videos, people, if you can. Really good listens, and yeah, he just answers everything. He's thinking about it. Like, do you know what I mean? He's so quick and in depth, but enough. Do you know what I mean with his answers? If you listen to him, you can actually picture what's going on the training pitch and things like that, rather than sort of bland up. We need to improve. We need to get better. Do you know what I mean? Like, sort of like more little insight, in depth way of talking about things, and yeah, I'm actually pretty pleased overall, and yeah, let's let the good times roll.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. I like the way he comes across, in the sense of what you said. He sort of, he'll just say things that for me, Bloomfield and Edwards, they just wouldn't say. Like, in the sense of, if like he's more detailed about what we're actually doing in training, for example. Do you know what I mean? There's that element, and there was a moment about Chris Powell as well. And I said it the other day, I think he can be massively influential to Wilshere and, Luton as a whole. But there was a moment earlier in his pre-match where he said there was a moment where Chris Powell spoke and everyone just sort of basically shut up and just listened.
He halted a training session.
Yeah. He's got that type of, that voice that everyone will just listen to. And that's what we needed as a team, because going back to the Bloomfield thing, I agree, the players didn't respect him. I mean, you look at it, when all of them players, or when Bloomfield left, none of them players wished him well. Basically, you look at Edwards. A lot of people
even the senior figures, which you thought might do that. I get some younger players might not, but yeah, it's quite interesting that in a way. So I think there's more to it. But anyway, that's done now. This does to me feel like a change. Similar to John Steele when he was first appointed. similar to Nathan Jones in a certain way, because he was another sort of unknown quantity. But I then did my research, listened to the way he come across. Wow, I hadn't heard anything like that from a young manager ever. I don't think. And he believes in himself. Yeah, sometimes we had the best attacking stats in Europe, but he was speaking facts. Yes, it's through divisions or whatever, but he's proving a point to certain, and that happened to him at Southampton and possibly Stoke, where he just wasn't respected enough. Do you know what I mean? Particularly at Southampton, I felt definitely. But look how well he's doing now, and let's be honest, Rob Edwards, he's doing a good job at the moment, and I don't think it's a fluke. But this time he's got a really good assistant, the former Coventry assistant. Nathan Jones has always had good assistants, and I think Bloomfield's apparently being interviewed for the Blackpool job. I still think he can get respect and he can build his career. I don't think he's a terrible coach at all. There was times where we did. You could see what he was trying to do, but then it was like he run out of ideas. But the players weren't really playing for him as well. So, but I do think he will go on and be. You don't just start off, settling Colchester and then going back to your team, Wickham, and do you know what I mean? And doing that well if for no reason. And I do personally think maybe if he'd have stayed at Wickham, he could actually be a Championship manager now anyway. I think they could have went up. But it is what it is. I'm looking forward to the game. Obviously, we're quite a few points behind the playoffs now, at least. Let's not talk about the top whatever until we're getting up there. Do you know what I mean? We're 6 points, is it? 5-6 points off. I know, because the teams that played. I know we got a couple of games. We got definitely one game in hand, but some teams play 2 games more. Lincoln, I think it is.
Looking now, I think it's 5 points.
Okay.
And yeah, like you say, we do have actually, we got 2. Well, technically 2 games in hand, because Bolton, for example, right, they're not in the playoffs, but they're 7th. They won last night. Great comeback, by the way. I watched that game. They are obviously a point off Lincoln, and they played 13 games. We've obviously played 11, so
yeah.
There's obviously still that. And also, we were meant to play Huddersfield, don't forget, as well, during this break, but obviously the internationals and things like that, the call-ups.
And another thing I will say, which a lot of people are, saying about Wilshere, like he's got no experience of League One football. He does know what it's about, and even if he doesn't know everything about what it's about, Powell will. And he was saying that. He was telling me, I know these Mansfield defenders, or I know these Mansfield players. You know what I mean? So his knowledge is massive, and Wilshere, if you watch some of his interviews, when he was playing academies and that, he knew that certain players were more suited to the Championship, League One. They'll end up, do you know what I mean? Because you can still have good ability. Look at players like Barry Bannon. You know what I mean? Excellent technical ability, but never not got to that. So Wilshere was talking about them things and knowing the way. You've got to hit it long. It's more physical. Teams will sit up and just defend against you. So he's fully aware of that, and yeah, I think that not having that arrogance, not having we've got a good squad here, we should be doing. Do you know what I mean? Better than we should. Like we're just going to go out there play nice football. He's not talking like that at all. It's like basics first. Don't them silly goals we've been conceding. Like, don't leave that space. Do not leave that space. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see his first lineup. But fundamentally, how the players respond to him, because I know the crowd will, but how the players respond to him and Chris, if they respond in the right way, I mean, I spoke to Chris earlier, my mate, and he was like, "I don't know, I reckon you go out and, proper turn them over." But I said to him, "Yeah, but Jack also said we need to be calm." He said in training, it sounds like they're proper up for it. They want to get going. They've been like, doing a lot of unbelievable stuff, not unbelievable stuff, but really good stuff, excellent stuff for the players that they are. And he said we had to tell them to calm down a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Because if you're not calm in games, which we definitely haven't been at all, apart from the Burton game, we weren't. I can't see it. Maybe Barnet, possibly Coventry, even when we changed the whole team. We haven't been. So just things like that. And if they can listen and respect, which I think they will, I can't see why we don't improve from here. And again, I'll reiterate the point. If we'd got Wellings here, do you know what I mean? He was the nearest one being spoken about. We was obviously talking about other managers, that Danny Ball, people like that. They're not going to drop that level. They're not, they believe, well, I've already managed at this level, so I'll hold out for the job for that. And to be honest, Luton job, you've got to be a certain type of character and things like that. So, so Wellings, yeah, maybe, but I don't know, because I don't think a lot of fans were too keen on them, because the other options were, let's be honest, they're mediocre, really. Yes, they're playing them in but Leighton Orient weren't pulling up trees. I think they'll do all right. I said about the Wimbledon manager, I think he's of that ilk, and you'll see that going forward. But yeah, I just think that it just sits right. It just sit right when the dust has settled. Because when it was being more and more linked, I wasn't starting then going fuming. Like, oh, what is he doing? Like, so I thought, well, let's look at why that's justified then. Because initially it was Steve Ball that was meant to be coming in. That was what was flying around everywhere. They said to Jack, and he went, don't know where, on Talk Sport. I don't know if anyone heard that interview. And he goes, don't know where you heard that. So someone's just sort of put two and two together because he's worked with him previously, etc., etc. But yeah, it just sounds like it's done right. And like I say, it'll be interesting to see who the other coaches are on the bench and stuff. So I know he spoke about Dearden and a few, Mick Arthur and a couple of other. I know. Do you know what I mean? But he's willing. He gets it. This is the thing. He gets it. So yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Part of the Wimbledon manager. So it did put a clip out of that on TikTok, and it reached out a lot to a lot of Wimbledon fans and things like that. But yeah, obviously saying about him, who knows if the club weren't looking at him as an option. And the reason I say that, as much as he weren't up there, is because he extended his contract, last week to 2027.
Yeah, I know that we've looked at him before as well.
Yeah, there's that. So there would have been that element there, I reckon.
Like he's off the scene, he's actually doing all right with a team that's just come up with minimal budget, lost a couple of good players, gave us a game, Yeah,
I know. I'm literally going to talk on it. Yeah, sorry to cut you off, Dad. So I'll talk about coaches. It's come out literally right now. Luton have just we've added Tim Corcoran, hopefully I've said his surname right, and David Bridges to his staff as first team coaches. So I'll be totally honest, as we speak right now, me personally, I'm not sure if you do, Dad. I don't know too much about them.
Don't they go into detail? They normally go into detail.
Yeah, so apparently Bridges, the 44... I'm going to read this out now, guys. Why not? We're live, so I might as well. The 43-year-old former midfielder has been a regular visitor to Kenilworth Road over the years as a player with Cambridge, Stevenage, and Kettering Town, Since retiring, he has had 2 spells at Lincoln City as head of coaching in the Imps Academy and assistant head coach, as well as coach developer for the PFA, mentoring former Arsenal players, including Wilshere. So that's obviously the link then, why we've got him in, as they work towards completing their UEFA Pro license qualifications. And then the other one is 40, He joined Arsenal on their facilities team as a 16-year-old and has worked his way up to become an integral part of current manager Mikel Arteta's first team coaching staff.
Yeah.
Having been given his coaching opportunity by the Gunners' former boss Unai Emery, Tim progressed from kit and equipment manager to study his UEFA coaching qualifications last year, completing his pro license. And Wilshire on it, by the way. He said, I have known David for years and he supported me with my coaching qualifications through the PFA. So when I got my first opportunity at Arsenal, I asked him to be with me for the first few weeks. In that time, we met some good players, some good people, and we learned a lot of good things together. He knows this league. He knows players in this league, so similar to Powell in that sense. He'll help me when I'm thinking about planning a game and if we're going away somewhere I've never been, for example, next week, Northampton. But most importantly, I made it clear to everyone we're coming to join this Luton family and he's a good person. That's the main thing we want to keep in this club to keep us progress, and he definitely ticks that box. This is what he said on Tim. I trust him and everyone will get to know that he is the nicest guy in the world and his story is inspirational. If you're going to survive and have a career in football, you have to have a real deep love for the game. He used to walk 10 miles a day to get to Arsenal in the early days, and he did every job because he has the same love for the game as me. He's someone that will help us again move forward and give the place a lift because of the type of person he is. I'm really happy to have both David and Tim as part of our staff and can only thank Gary and the board for backing me to bring them in. So, yeah, that's everything said on that. So, if you're within the Arsenal team, especially when you look at how they're doing now, whether you're coach, whether you're Arteta, whether you're, the assistant, that does tell you something. I mean, you look at it now, they're obviously top of the Prem. So bringing in that experience, like I say, as we speak, I don't know too much, but given what Wilshire said here, it's a lot more experience to the club. And obviously, when he mentioned about the other one, obviously similar to Powell in the sense of knows the league and things like that, that's going to be massively beneficial. And I did say we might see him tomorrow, but they've been announced now, so we'll see him now and tomorrow, I guess. But obviously, the people that are going, we'll see him in person. So. Yeah, what do you make of that breaking news, Dad?
That's what I felt was sort of coming and was needed more because it's just not just the assistant manager. It's like who are the coaches, and the analyst guy. So I'd say that is it Tim? I think will probably be more a bit of both. Should we get like more, looking at stats as well and things like that. Been at Arsenal since he was 16. Oof. Yeah. And the other guy, look at Lincoln. He's come from their academy and that. Obviously, so was that Jake Richards? Did we get him from there? Or was it Exeter?
Exeter. I know what you mean, though. Same colours.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. But
look how Lincoln are doing, though.
Yeah, exactly. And fundamentally, they were like a League Two. I think they might have been in the conference at some stage as well. But kind of that area, and they look at now they're in playoffs. They're ahead of us in the league. They've signed players like Bradley. Do you know what I mean? So obviously they've got a good. Knowledge of things like that, and he's been part of that, so he knows the league. It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. And you need your people that as well, and people that will get respect. I think they'll both get respect because he knows them. Some of the other players might even know them. We don't, do you know what I mean? So yeah, good to see. So yeah, there's four new signings there really. So let's see what they bring because give it a month, and then I think people say it could take a long time. I don't think it will take a long time. I'd say give it a month and a half, like by January, and I think we'd really be kicking on. And I think we probably we see that, and that's what we've been looking forward to this season. That was what we was kind of expecting. So yeah, and then obviously in January, is he going to use the free transfer market? We don't know about that yet. Personally, I think they're going to try and hold off from that. But in January, they will make the adjustments with getting a left back, right back. I know Walters would be kind of fit in that, and possibly, will be as he said, he's got to earn his place in that team, and we still need them backups anyway. And also, we don't know if anyone's actually going to leave in January, because it still might happen, you know. But yeah, I think the experienced heads and that are sort of going to work with him. Naismith, you know, Wells, Saville, Clark. Do you know what I mean? I think that's Shea. I think that's going to help ahead a lot as well. So yeah.
Yeah, talking to George Saville, obviously he went out to Northern Ireland. He didn't actually play as well, so he should be raring to go for tomorrow. Obviously he's been good, you know, predominantly throughout the season, bar like a couple of games, but then the games he ain't been great. Like the rest of the team ain't. But yeah, we'll go through some comments. Obviously, big up to everyone inside. Big up to Paul, says evening lads. Come on, you Hatters. Absolutely, mate. Jackie says evening. Stephen says big up Ty and Dazza. It's a new era. Yeah, 100%. He says Powell class appointment. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing which, you know, like I've said, you know, when we first were linked with Wilshere, obviously we shut down, you know, shut it down straight away. But with getting an experienced assistant like Powell, and I said it on the video the other day, that's going to be massively beneficial to him. You know, obviously bringing in these other people on top of that now, you know, at least we know that, because you look at under Bloomfield as well. We didn't know the other, you know, the assistant and all that was. Let's just be real. So I'm glad that we do know who these are. And again, I don't know them like looking at their story now, but given what's said on the website, you know, obviously been around Arsenal for years, one of them, that tells you something, you know. So yeah, hopefully they'll be massively beneficial as well, alongside obviously Chris Powell. Jackie says, I'm still buzzing still, can't wait for tomorrow's game. I'm going. It's been exciting listening to everything. There seems to be a buzz with most of the fans as well. Yeah, exactly. The majority of the fans there is. Everywhere I've looked, it's quite, you know, positive, given what it's been like in the last 2 years. And for me, a lot of it is rightly so. You know, we've been absolutely dire the last 2 years. Let's just be real. So, yeah, you know, in terms of Wilshere, it's, you know, obviously we haven't seen him as a manager yet, like properly. I'm not counting the 2 Norwich games, but you know, he is a name despite him not really having much managerial experience. He can bring players in, and obviously Daju is referring to obviously the January window and things like that. I mean, we could get some young, you know, players on loan maybe. And again, I know we don't really like to do loans, but you know, obviously we could do him with what we've done with Kadawa, even though he hasn't been great, especially in the last game. Longwick, you know, they're options to buy. So it could be a similar thing with other ones. You know, Wilshere will have them contacts. So we shall see. I think you're referring to when we talk about Nathan Jones earlier, I'm guessing, Burley. Yeah, going back to that quick, the Southampton fans, they were on his back straight away. I mean, I went on the Southampton channel and shout out to them guys, but they were just telling me their fans are just on him. So that's the thing. And that's why you've got to back Wilshere, whether you, and I said it the other day, whether you think it's a good appointment or not, but majority of people do now with, you know, the staff alongside him. You know, you've got to get behind him. You've got to give him a chance. And that's how I am with anyone, like anything, any players, you know, any manager, I give them a chance. Like, for example, when we got Bloomfield, I wasn't really convinced. I'll be honest. I mean, go back to the T-Boy discusses I did on it, but I was willing to give him a chance. You know what I mean? And that's how it is. And that's exactly how I'll be with Wilshere as well. And like I said, he'll have them contacts. You know, as much as he's not high in his managerial experience, he could get us some decent loanies from Arsenal, you know, youngsters, maybe not Arsenal in particular, but do you know what I mean? He'll have that reach. And obviously Chris Powell might know some decent players we could go in and get. So that was what was massive for me in terms of disappointment. And this is what swung a lot of fans as well. If it was a decent assistant, which it has been, well, in fact, better than decent, I would say, especially for this level, you know, in terms of what he done with England as well. Obviously, with Southgate, I didn't rate Southgate, but in terms of bringing the nation back and people wanting to watch England, you have to give it massive credit to Southgate and obviously Powell in doing that, getting far in competitions as well. It's just you got to get over the line now. But his League One experience, I mean, he won it as a player and a manager, so that'll be massively beneficial. And he could have even been the manager himself, you know. It's one of them. So yeah, exactly. I totally agree with you there, Stephen, mate. Hanno, big up to yourself, mate. Hi guys, Wilshire Barmy Army in full force. The fans will be 100%. It's just like you said, that hopefully the players will rise to it. But what I've heard this week, they're willing to go. Obviously, there was a brief video on YouTube where you see little bits, and they did, the vibes look better. I'll be honest, they look much better. It's a lot more laughing and smiles and things like that. And even when Wilshire done his thing earlier, I mean, you heard loud noises in the background. You probably ain't heard that since Pelly Ruddock was there. To be quite honest with you, just so the vibes are there, and like he said, and like you alluded to, Daddy, obviously he has said about trying to calm the players down at times. So hopefully, they don't get over the top, I guess. But in terms of the vibes all around, it's much more positive from majority of fans I've seen online, and obviously things like that. So yeah, there we go. Our performances, whether good or bad, will certainly be in the spotlight now. Yeah, that's the thing. That is the thing. And I was going to touch on it, and we'll do a little thing now on it. Pros and cons about Wilshere coming in. Now, when I say this, I don't mean as a manager because we haven't seen enough. I mean in terms of, for me, I'll say it right now. Pros, obviously, going back to what I said, we can get in, he'll have contacts. Chris Powell will have contacts. That'll be beneficial. But then cons, I guess, is like the sense of, say, for example, we done really well and we did go up, whether that was winning the playoffs or automatics. I think because he's also been a bit different to Gerrard, Rooney in the sense of he started a bit lower. Obviously, I know Rooney was in League One, but in terms of, just going up, wanting to be at the highest as possible, I think there will be that element of looking at him. That is a worry I do have in terms of that. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what does happen. Yeah. Even comments like that, I'll totally agree, Jackie. It's more, it's how it should be. Do you know what I mean? It is. It really is. So yeah, we shall see. But yeah, moving on to the game tomorrow, obviously against Mansfield. Now, as we currently speak, they are obviously a point below us. Obviously, both teams in the league do sit obviously a bit lower in terms of looking to obviously be higher, especially ourselves. Obviously, we're 11th, they're 12th. We're on 16 points, they're on 15. Like I said, we do have a couple of games in hand though, so hopefully we can utilise them and there could be a bit more confidence and getting results there. So we'll see. Obviously, we were set to play Huddersfield, but like I said, obviously the international break during the week, obviously it got called off. I mean, I watched their game yesterday. First half, but I thought Bolton were poor. I don't even think Huddersfield were that great. But in the second half, Bolton were all over them. And fair play in the end. I mean, if we won a game like that, I can't even remember the last time we did that, I'd definitely be loving that. But yeah, that was interesting. Obviously, that's changed it a little bit in terms of, obviously Bolton now obviously in the mix after a bit of an average start, similar to us, obviously slightly better. But yeah, obviously it's going to be interesting because obviously Mansfield did play during the week. It did look like they rotated majority of their team though, if I'm going to be totally honest. Obviously in the Virtue Trophy, they did play Newcastle under 21s. But yeah, a bit more going into it. So they made the perfect start to the season by winning their first 3 games and come into this game just a point behind us, like I said. They made a fast start to the season following their 17th place finish, obviously last year. 3 wins from their first 3 games sparked them into life. A winless 4 games followed before getting back to winning ways against Rotherham at the end of September. And then the danger man to watch is Tyler Roberts. Obviously, he was at Leeds. He scored 2 goals in his last 2 games. Going into it, they said, I think if any club comes here and sits back, we have to use that as a sign of respect. I've seen Mansfield and we'll be ready for what we expect from them. However, we've got to be ready in our attacking moments, be switched on, and if we lose the ball, win it back. Yeah, I'll totally agree. I mean, you look at a lot of games early on in the season, started games so poor, in the sense that we're so sloppy in possession, we give it away. And, like you said there, we've got to be getting it back if we do that. We're expecting a tough game. From what I've learned over the last couple of weeks and after speaking to coaches and players, This is a league where we've got to be ready for random moments. It's kind of division. It's kind of the division where you could be dominating a game and go 1-0 down. I mean, for us, you technically see that in the Cardiff game. Is probably a good example of that. So I totally understand what you're saying there. We've got to be ready for that and respond in the right way. Be calm and don't panic. We'll be aiming to get our players in their best positions and getting them doing the things they're good at. And again, you've got to do that. Something he's massively said as well, especially in earlier's press conference, and do watch it if you haven't already, guys. He kept alluding to the fact we've got so many good wingers. He obviously didn't name them. He just said the wingers, and we have. And that tells me we're going to play. We could even play I could see us, maybe not tomorrow, but when players are back, we get into the more swing of things. I could see him playing a 4-3-3 because I believe when he was the Arsenal, obviously under 18s manager, coach, whatever you want to call it, I'm sure that's what he played. And obviously, I know it's a bit different there because, you can sort of play around a bit more. Whereas, obviously League One, senior football, you want to win the games. But I don't know. I could see that going forward, and we've got the players to do that. So I could see us doing that down the line, especially when Walters is back. You can put him at right back. You can have Asai Jones as a right winger. You can have Kadoa. You know what I mean? There's loads of options. Ali, obviously, out wide on the left. You know what I mean? There's things you can do. So it's going to be interesting to see that. Last time we played Mansfield was obviously on Easter Monday, 2018, on our way to promotion from League Two. They took the lead before we come back in the second half. James Collins and one of your G's, Dad, Glenn Ray, scored a goal.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we obviously beat them last time we did play, which was obviously, I'd say, 2018. So a bit of a while ago. But yeah, I mean, last year they were, like I say, they were in the battle for quite a while, and then they just got to survive pretty comfortably in the end. They do have a few players I do know. One Sweeney, he's a defender. He was when I went to watch that Burton game against Leighton Orient. He was there, and they got another player that they did have from Burton as well. Oshalaja is how you say his name. He's another centre back. He was the Burton captain that day. So they've got a few decent experience. Obviously Tyler Roberts as well. So they're decent players to obviously keep the lookout for. Obviously not more so obviously Tyler Roberts, but in terms of players that are decent for them, I'd say them guys. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. We don't really know what to expect in this game. So for this week, I haven't done a lineup personally. So we'll just go through your two, Dad, and obviously I'll talk on, if I change anything.
Right, yeah, we're not sure. So I think either it's going to be a back to basics. So a 4-4-2.
Oh, we might even stick with the because obviously it didn't work in parts. We could do the 4-2-3-1 again, which is basically the equivalent of 4-2 to me.
Yeah.
In ways.
So can you see it, guys?
Yeah. I've shared it.
Controversially, could be Shane in goal. I think Keeley will get better, definitely under Wilshere. But I think he might be for a game just to get that sort of balance and calmness and all the things that he's talking about. I think he might go with more experience. So I'm calling it Shane goal. And in the back four for me is interesting. Obviously, we know Makoso, he's looked good there once. But some of his positioning in the game, especially defending, was that tactics. Do you know what I mean? Because I personally think that he could play there. And he takes the throw-ins there and stuff like that. So, I've put in there Anderson, who I think is going to thrive. He's actually been pretty decent this season anyway. He's going to thrive under Wilshere. So I'd say that he starts. And then Mengi, I was thinking, yeah, possibly it will be. But again, experienced heads, captain of the squad, he's got to start for me. Do you know what I mean? So I'll put in Naismith in there. And then Bramall, who also was at Arsenal when he was younger. So he hasn't been spoken about, but Wilshere must know of him at least. So I think his performance in the last game wasn't great, but again, we have seen good moments for him. And he's sort of playing in a in that position. I just don't think it worked, but I think he's used to playing. He could play there. So and then I'm going 4 in midfield. Saville and Clark. I think can't really be putting anyone else in there for me. Saville again works hard. Clark, Mr. Luton, has got to start. And then Ali on the left, doing what he needs to be doing. Not having to defend a little bit, but not like as he has been, giving license to go forward and feed the 2 strikers. And then Morris, the same, seeing his ability, he might not finish the whole game, but we need to be feeding 2 up front for me, who obviously you can see there as Wells and Yates, and I've only gone for them again for the experience. I don't think we've seen them start together, but at this level, I think any team in League One would like to have them up front if the team behind them can supply them, which I think they definitely can if we went with that formation. So yeah, that's what I'd do in that situation. For me, if we go 3 at the back, if you can see it, yeah.
1 second. It's still only coming up with a 4.
Okay.
But yeah, I've done a poll, guys. Do get involved. Who goes in goal for you, Shea or Keeley? As we speak, while you're just getting that up, Dad, 4 votes each so far. I don't know if it's come up for some people, but yeah, it's 50-50 at the moment. So we'll talk on that at the end. But yeah, there you go. There you go, Dad.
Mm-hmm. So again, I've gone with Shea. I've gone with Naismith. Back 3, if we go for back 3. Anderson in the middle. Makoso, we know he can play in a back 3 like that anyway. Then I've moved Bramall forward. So it's a 3-4-3. And then put Morris. Morris or Kadoa could play either or in their positions, I think. Saville and Clark in the middle. Obviously, they've got, Bramall can come back and defend as well. Morris or Kadoa can do a little bit if they need to. But the three-pronged attack for me, I think Ali has definitely got the freedom there. Just sit there, wait for the ball, wait for the, do you know what I mean? Cut in. Do you know what I mean? Look for the runners, etc. Yates is a poacher. He's a really good poacher at this level. I've seen it definitely at this level. I've seen it so many times. Got the experience again, so possibly I could see that. Could be Wells. I don't think Nordas will start in that way. And then Kadua, he's talked about his best positions. He talked about him scoring that winning goal for West Ham from the halfway line against Jack Wilshere's team, that was, and things like that. And he's saying the wingers we've got, etc. We need to be utilising that. So possibly, I think we could do that until we get a left back and a right back fit or in whatever. We could do that, and I'd be quite happy with that, to be honest with you. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I'd actually prefer that because, like you say, we haven't got a right back or we got left back, obviously Bramall, but in terms of both sides, yeah, and also the fact, he's alluded that to that our wingers are like he kept emphasising how highly he rates our wingers. So to me, that tells me he is going to play that. And like I say, when we go further down the line, we have the right back, and I can generally see him playing what he played at Arsenal. The youth team's a 4-3-3. We have got the players for it. And like I said, players like Saville, he obviously went out to the international break, didn't play at all. So he'll be raring to go. He did get a few minutes in the one before that, but obviously not this one. And again, I actually thought Ali had a better game against Cambridge. His only letdown for me was when the ball was coming to him, he kept just lose it quite easily. But in terms of running at players, it was much more, what we want to see from him. And then obviously, Clark, like you say, Yates, Yates is for me. He's one of them. He needs a goal. He needs a goal for a bit of confidence. I mean, you saw that brief spell when he got the goal against Barnet. He then sort of had the confidence to get him more positions, things like that. And obviously Morris, he's been brilliant since he's come in. Let's be honest. Even against Cambridge, I thought he was all right. Can't really blame him for anything. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Regarding obviously the back line as well. Will Naismith play as much going forward? It'll be quite interesting. But yeah, I'll definitely put him in for this game. And me personally, I agree with you. I would put Shea in goal. And it's nothing to do with it, the friendship with Wilshere, anything like that. I just think, and I said it myself, and I got absolute pelters for it. I think he needs to be dropped for a game. And people go, oh, yeah, but he's young, that'll dampen his confidence. Well, no, if he's learning from an experienced senior in Shea, to just do the basics, don't complicate stuff. Don't overcome out. And
I mean, people might say that Shea weren't great in the Cambridge game, but I don't think he was terrible. I think the defence really let him down, like they've let Keeley down.
Yeah.
And you can see that his confidence he's not positioning himself right. He's rushing out.
He's getting done at his near post quite easily as well.
Yeah, because he hasn't got trust in his defence, and I think he needs to. If the defence is good, he's one of them players like, okay, all right, they're good. But then if it does get past that really good defence, then I'm going to show you what it's. Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. And I think he will thrive under Wilshere. But I think that maybe just to steady the ship, which is what we need to kind of do. I think it's better to go with the experience. He did say in his presser that talking about Shea that hopefully he can help us. And to me, it's not like obviously he can help us like as a team, as a guide. Goes without saying, but you want him fundamentally to help you on the pitch. So he's not for me. He can't just be playing, Virtue Trophy games. FA Cup game against fucking Forest Green Rovers or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I just think that we need the experienced players, the players that have been on Luton, been on that journey, which he's talked about, to be starting these, 5 games, this little build up. And then obviously when it comes to like, end of December, January, games start are just mental. Then you can use your whole squad, and players will be back from injury by then as well. These are like Brown. We even talked about how they'll perform. Elijah probably proper respects Wilshere. I don't know if Elijah is an Arsenal fan or not, but I know like he played for Fulham and stuff like that. But weren't Ruddock an Arsenal fan?
I'll be honest, I don't actually know.
But some of them are. Do you know what I mean? Yes, they're playing for Luton Town, but they're
actually no. Sorry to cut you off. He was, because I remember when we played. Or he is, sorry. When we played Arsenal in the Premier League, the game at Kenilworth Road, he was like, "Yeah, I'm delighted. This is obviously I've jumped up with Luton, and this club I support that we're playing against." So yeah, he did actually.
Yeah. So but yeah, I think we need to start with the more senior ones that have been there, done that, can help, because he's talking about them calm moments, and that's what we definitely. And Keeley definitely isn't calm for me. He's not a calm keeper. Yes, it's good sometimes it comes off his line, but he doesn't seem compared to Shea. There's totally different at the moment. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe he'd be more calmer if he trusted the defence in front of him. I think part of it's that, because like I said, the amount of times he comes rushing out, etc. But yeah, I think it could go back to basics with a 4-4-2. But other than that, I wouldn't mind seeing a 3-4-3. Ziggy, shut up. Ziggy, stop. Apologies, people. Yeah.
You get me flipping copyrighted, didn't he? What's he doing?
But yeah, so yeah, I think we should get in some predictions, etc.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just quickly, what I want to say on Shea is the last game. I agree with what you said. Defense is terrible. I mean, I ranted about it in the second half.
I think
Yeah.
he's the only surviving player at the club since we last played him. He was in goal.
Yeah. But yeah, like I say, that game, I went off on one because they were just playing it over the top way too easily. So the defense needs to be on it. And he was doing like stuff Keeley would do in the sense of coming out, and that's not Shea, But like you said, with Jack
That
Wilshere,
tells you something. I know we criticise Keeley about it, but then sometimes you think, well, actually, he's used to doing this. So it's a natural thing to go, well, that defender's not quite where they need to be. I need to, do you know what I mean? And he's used to doing that, where Shea's not, but Shea was. Like, because he had to. So that tells you a lot as well about the positioning of some of our players. So I said that before about Koso and things like that. So yeah, let's see what happens.
Yeah, no, just quickly, what I was going to say is the defense was so poor, so they need to be on it. And it made Shea obviously do the stuff like coming out and that. But like you said, in terms of Wilshere, there's we just need to. Obviously, he's going to say this, but we need to start well in terms of someone who just do the basics, won't overcomplicate it. Because one criticism for me, it's not really the goals he's conceding; it's the way he comes out. Sometimes, like, what annoys me is when there's a defender there.
Yeah,
It's like the defender probably needs to communicate as well. Don't get me wrong, but then there's time like sometimes they're looking forward. Do you know what I mean? They're not looking behind unless it's an over the top ball. And he's coming out like I think what game was it? Wigan at home. He got. I think it might have been Wigan. It was definitely a home game. He was so lucky not to be sent off, and that goes back to what I was saying. Which then led to that Plymouth game where I was saying a mistake has been coming. And again, I rate him as a keeper. Half of these people, it's not you guys in the comments, it's people and flipping TikTok, right? They will not look at when I was gassed. They will not look at my video when we signed him. I was gassed, right? Jamie is over there. She will tell you, right? She'll tell everyone in this chat, when we signed him, I was buzzing. I said that is a statement of intent, signing him. Because I rated him that highly. Not even just because he scored a goal against Man City. Generally, I watched him in the playoffs. I watched him the games before that. And I said, the next goalkeeper I want Luton to get, because Kaminsky was always going to go. Surprised he went to Charlton, and that's nothing against Charlton. I just thought he'd go abroad.
Yeah, but interestingly, Tyler, was he coming out? This is what I'd like to know. Was he doing these things when he was playing in goal for Leyton Orient? Was he come mushing out?
The only criticism a lot of Leyton Orient fans said to me about him is from crosses, he's a bit suspect. Like in terms of corners, set pieces.
Do you know why? Do you know why? Because they don't cross it in Premier League academies.
Yeah.
That's what
exactly that.
Exactly what it is.
And they're trying to test too much in that league. Like they'll do all the passes. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So yeah, that's the thing. Like you lot will know. You watch a video after if you want a recap of it. I was delighted. He was my favourite signing along with Yates. I know Yates is.
I think he's going to be an excellent keeper for us, no doubt.
Yeah,
I honestly do.
And I want him to work out because other people rate him so highly, i.e., Tottenham fans and things like that. So if they rate him highly, I mean, they're established Premier League club that won a European trophy last year. That tells you something about the keeper. And he weren't even their third choice goalkeeper, guys. He was their fourth choice. They had obviously Vicario. They've got the other one that they signed. I can't remember his name. He had a few shaky first games for them. And then obviously Brandon Austin, who's similar to them. He's come through the ranks. So similar to Keeley, sorry, he come through the ranks. So, it's one of them. So I was absolutely delighted to when we signed him. He's my favourite signing alongside Yates. But I just feel, like we've said, there's no harm in dropping him for a game or two. I mean, our run, we've got a lot of games coming up. Obviously, we don't play next midweek, but then we play Northampton away on my birthday. So please, boys, do not let me down. I am going to that game. That is my next game. Then we got Brighton in the Cup. I would not mind playing him in that and then playing him against Forest Green. And if he has two really good games, then, go from there on in. But I just feel there's no harm doing it for these two games where we want an opening start, for Wilshere. We want it to, us to kick on. Obviously, he's still going to implement his style and things, but we want to get decent results, of course. So I think if you go with a keeper who's not going to make it too complex for himself in Shea just for a game or two, I don't think there's no harm in that. So that's how I see it. But yeah, we'll go through this poll and then we'll do the predictions. So 7 votes. Who goes in goal? I put Shea or Keeley. 43% say Shea. 57 say Keeley. So it's very tight. Very, very tight. Obviously, it's all opinions. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Like I say, I do like him as a keeper. I do. But it's just sometimes he complicates it for me. That's just how I see it. But yeah, in terms of predictions, Dad, Wilshere's first game, the Wilshere era begins, as it says in the thumbnail. Obviously, we will be doing a watch along to this, guys, tomorrow, so obviously do tune in. But how do you see the first game going, Dad, at the Kenny?
Well, I think the atmosphere is going to be very good. Mansfield are going to, they've got an experienced manager at that level, Clough. So he's going to try, and they're going to try and shut us up. They won't be doing that. They'll do that low block at points, but I think they'll come at us. You know, they'll offer it at us. So we need to make it difficult for them. You know, early. Don't play not the decent passing. You know, show that we've got that threat. We have got that. You know, new manager kind of bounce atmosphere, etc. But I do think they'll make it tough at times, Mansfield, because, like I said, know-how, etc., etc. But I've said it plenty of times before, and it has happened, or it hasn't happened. You know, our quality will shine through, and experience. So yeah, I think we'll get off to a good start. Mansfield is another team that you know I think they'll probably survive, but you know they're you know, like Burton in that way. You know, they're bottom rung team, and they're no disrespect, but they are. Do you know what I mean? They've always been better, so we should be expecting to beat them, and I do think we will. I think, you know, there's a lot of anticipation. I just think that we'll turn it, because them players that we have got a real quality, and they'll have a little bit of a license, I think, for freedom, you know, express themselves, and that, like Ali did the end of last season. He was magnificent for us. Could have kept us up potentially. Let's not fuck around here. So that, bringing that element back to the players. Yeah, I'm going to go over 3-1 Luton win.
Well, that's emphatic. Now, obviously, a lot of people have obviously told me what they reckon for this game. Obviously, new era, so there's a lot more confidence within the fan base. Obviously, there's still elements that we'll have to learn in terms of how Wilshere wants to play, what he wants to implement, and we'll see that as fans. You know, we don't really know what to expect in terms of formation and, you know, who actually plays, things like that. As for me, due to that, I am going to say a draw. I am going to say a 1-1 draw. I was thinking maybe a 1-0 Luton. It wouldn't be pretty, but there would be better elements, which I hope there is. You know, I hope there is. And obviously, I would love a 1-0 for Wilshere's first game. But I'm going to say a 1-1 draw. I've been thinking that. And obviously, if that is the case, then every time we'd have played Mansfield in the history, there'd be 9 apiece, like in obviously the take away friendlies. So it'd be 9 wins for us, 9 draws, and 9 wins for them, if that was the case. So that's pretty interesting as well. And that sort of swayed me a little bit because it is so tight. So yeah, let me know what you guys do think in terms of score predictions. Obviously, there is a few that have come in so far, so we'll get into them. 3-1, Ali, Jordan, and Morris. So same as you, Dad. 3-1 win for the Hatters. Paul has gone 2-0, clean sheet, nice. Jackie also says Keeley's been off it last few games. Yeah, exactly. It's not just him, but I just don't think there's no harm in doing it. Yeah, no, definitely, mate. Ali and Jordan to score. Ollie says Keeley starts, he believes. He's gone 1-1, same as me. Obviously, he's gone Roberts to score. Wasn't Roberts at Birmingham, Ollie, for a little bit? You'll be able to tell me you're a Birmingham fan. I'm pretty sure he was, wasn't he? If I'm correct, quite recently. But yeah, Ali to score. Yeah, okay. Chat GPT, Dad, and then your score.
Chat GPT says 2-1 Luton. And then my goal scorers is, we're getting a lot of calls for this. Ali, could definitely see Ali scoring if he starts in this game. Clark, and I'm going to go Yates.
Okay, that's interesting. As for me, I'm going to go. You know what? I'm going to go Shaden Morris. I'm going to go Shaden Morris. I'm going to go a little bit different to a lot of people. But if he doesn't start, it'll probably be Kadoa, won't it? So I'd say Kadoa. Whoever starts out of them two, I'd say gets the goal for us. So yeah, 2-1. Chat GPT backing us, yeah, because last time it didn't. We I think we won, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, like I say, I've gone with a draw, but I wouldn't be surprised if we like nicked it 1-0 or something. I think there's going to be better elements, but it's not going to be a quick fix, obviously. So, but I think the players will be right up for it, and you're sort of seeing from what we've seen in training they are, and we can definitely win this game, you know. But yeah, I'm gonna sit on the fence. I'm gonna sit on the fence. Hopefully with Wilshere, and I don't think it will, but hopefully it does not take as long as it takes for him to get a win as it took for Bloomfield. Hopefully, because we don't really want that game, especially next week. If there's one game, or obviously other than Stevenage, which we didn't do, there's one other game I'd like you guys to definitely go all out for 3 points. Obviously, I win to every week, but in terms of winning a game, please next week, please, boys, because when we played the day after, I say we like I played. When they played the day after, I went to Coventry. Day after my birthday, and we lost 3-2. We're 2-0 up. We were absolutely buzzing. We didn't even play great in that first half. I mean, Coventry overall definitely deserved to win it. But yeah, just please, boys. That's how I see it. But yeah, big up to everyone else for their predictions. Ben, yeah, by the way, Ben went really emphatic, obviously, on the Discord. Do join the Discord, guys. It's in the description if you're not already. He did say 4-0 to us, and he said it here. Yates to get 2 and Ali to get 2. Okay, brace, nice. That'd be really good for them too, because I think them two have not performed to the level they can. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Shout out to Luton lad. Was obviously heavily on the watch along when we played Cambridge. Says looking forward to this one. 2-0 Clark and Morris. Yep, no, absolutely. It's gonna be interesting. And yeah, Morris, see, there you go. Morris, you got Morris as well, like myself. Nice one there. But yeah, Dad, any final things you want to say before we go?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Hopefully, the rest of my cold's gone by then, and we'll do a watch along.
Yeah. So we'll be live tomorrow. Hopefully, there's no issues like the Stevenage game. But yeah, if all goes well, should be live around about 10 to 3. But obviously, keep the notification bell on and obviously check all of that. And obviously, I will do a match reaction myself after the game as well to the people that obviously like to watch a reaction instead. Or if you like to watch both, then obviously do tune into that. And then, yeah, obviously, we'll do a hat show on Monday reacting to this game. Like I say, we don't play during the week, so we'll just do a reaction to this. And then, obviously, we'll be back again on Friday, day before my birthday. And hopefully, we can get a win on my birthday next week, as well as tomorrow. But we shall see how it goes. As long as the performances are looking better, then I think that's the main thing. Because a lot of times when we have got wins, especially under Bloomfield, it didn't really look pretty. So, you know, as long as the performances are better, that's what we want to see. We want to see that fight. We want to see what it used to be. You know, a lot under Nathan Jones for Luton. You know, that type of Blackpool away performance, that 1-0 win. You know, that type of performance. And even if we get results like that, but we look much better compared to how we have under, Bloomfield and for a large part Edwards towards the end, you've got to take that. So that's our C. I wouldn't say we're down that element yet, just because I hear what you're saying. It's, with all due respect, it's Mansfield at home, but then again, it's Wilshere's first game, so I think that there is that element to sort of, let it slide for this game. Obviously, if we didn't get a win in ages,
If we got battered by them,
yeah. That'd be. They don't really that team that batter people, but they are unbeaten in the last 2 games as well. So that's another reason I've gone with a draw. And they have played, decent teams, to be fair.
Yeah, but away they've been terrible.
Yeah, they ain't been great. Yeah. Like I say, 1-0 or 1-0, but I'm going to say 1-0. Get well soon, says Jackie.
Cheers.
Yeah, obviously he's on his recovery, but yeah, it should be, like he says, hopefully it should be all right for tomorrow. And yeah, hopefully it's a good watch along, because I'll be honest, Dad, take away friendlies. I don't know last time it was good when we both watched the game together.
Yeah.
Absolutely dire. Probably Premier League when we used to watch them on the phone together. Probably that Brighton game.
Yeah.
I know Watford game actually. That,
Yeah.
to be fair, the one very rare good game. We did do a watch along to that, to be fair. Yeah, big win needed. I mean, who are you guys playing? Obviously, talk about Championship quickly. Middlesbrough are playing tonight, Ipswich. So that's a big test for them. See how they're doing that. That's literally in 14 minutes from now. So I'll definitely stick that on. And of course, I'll have a look at that. So yeah, big up to everyone that's tuned in. Don't forget to smash a like if you haven't already. Do subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already as well, do become a member. And by the way, guys, just going to remind the members and people, if you do become a member, we will be doing, when we get to 10, I think we're on 7 now. When we get to the end of the season, and Ben will be gifting memberships, he told me earlier, so shout out to him tomorrow. So do jump on it if you're not a member. We're going to do a spin the wheel members only live, and you can win a shirt of the team you support with name and number, so of your choice. So yeah, man, do join the Discord as well. It's in the description. Do follow me across all my other socials as well. And like we say, we will be back again for a watch along tomorrow. So yeah, that's going to be a tough game, especially if it's away. If it's at home, I reckon you can get something. But yeah, we shall see. So yeah, big up to everyone. And yeah, don't forget to smash a like, subscribe, follow me across all my socials, subscribe to the extra channel, all that. And yeah, take care and peace.
Peace.
Come on, Luton.
Up to
Bye, me,